Hi, fourth graders. Welcome to Unit 3, Lesson 8. In this lesson today, we'll be learning how to read, write, and round numbers. First, I'm going to review the 4 different ways that we can write numbers. All of you are very familiar with the original form, which we call standard form, and that's how we write our numbers using numbers and commas when the place value requires it. So this number, 8,562, represented with numbers, is in standard form. The next form we could use is called word form, where we write exactly what we say, but in word form instead of using numbers. So here it's written out, 8,562. Exactly what I say when I read the number aloud, but instead using words. The expanded form is where we pull out each individual place value and then put addition symbols in between, because when we added it all up, it would equal the same number that we're representing, but it's an expanded. I like to think of like stretching out like a balloon. I'm stretching out this number into each individual place value. So it's 8,000 plus 500 plus 60 plus 2. So I'm expanding my number by pulling out each place value, the 8,000s, the 500s, the 6 10s to make 60, and then the 2 1s, which are 2. The last one is the place value form, where you actually kind of use that expanded form to help you. So I had 8 thousands that I pull out, 500s, 6 10s, and 2 1s. Remember, we kind of practiced this the other day, but with place value drawings. Now we're just writing the word instead of drawing the symbol for it. Today you'll get a lot of practice writing our numbers in different forms. Here I'm going to show you a couple of examples and write different forms of our numbers. The first number that I'm going to practice with is 4,350. Remember that standard form is the regular old form that we see every day. So I just will literally rewrite 4,350. That's standard form. It comes standard. That's how we normally see our numbers. Word form is a little lengthy because now I have to write out the words for it as I read it aloud. That's the trick that I use. So as I'm reading this number, I'm going to write the words that I'm saying. So 4,000. I'm going to put a comma because I remember that that's where it is in the number as well. 300. 50. Boom. As I read it aloud, I wrote the words I was saying. Expanded form. Remember, I stretch it out like a balloon. So I pull out the 4,000 plus, remember, we have to add it all together, 300 plus 50. And this one won't have any ones because look, there's a 0 in the ones place. So I'm done already. 4,000 plus 300 plus 50. The last form is the place value form, where I essentially take my expanded form and just use words instead. So 4,000s are used to make this number. 300s. It's kind of like a combination of the word in expanded form almost. So 4,000s, 300s, and then 5 10s are used to make that 50. And again, no ones, so I'm done. Our next example is written in word form. So this one I'm going to check off as done. So it's 642. Standard form would be to write that with numbers. So 642. Expanded form. Now I have to stretch it out. Remember, word form I'm skipping over because it's already done up here. So let's stretch it out. That'd be 600 in the hundreds place plus 40 in the tens place plus 2 ones to make our number. Place value form, there are 6 hundreds used. And then instead of writing 40, remember I write that there's 4 tens used and then 2 ones used to create this number. Now we've come to one of my favorite skills in math, rounding numbers. I'm going to show you a few examples today, and then it will be your turn to rock and roll with this skill. There are some very important rounding rules in math. I included this cute little poem to help you remember. So rounding rules. Find the number, look right next door. 5 or more, raise the score. 4 or less, let it rest. So let's practice what we see here in this poem. Here are my directions. Round to the nearest 10. Okay, so first thing, find the number. So 8 is in the tens place. Next rule, look right next door. So I look right next door. 5 or more, raise the score. 7 is bigger than 5, so I'm going to bump that 8 up, raise it to a 9. Remember with rounding, all the numbers after the one you rounded change to zeros. And if you think about it this way, 87 has now rounded up to 90 because that 7 was big enough to bump up the 8. It was big and strong. Let's try some more examples. Still following the directions of rounding to the tens place. 1 is in the tens place. Found the number. Look right next door. 5 or more, raise the score. 4 or less, let it rest. So 1 has to stay a 1 today. And any numbers after it change to 0. So we have actually rounded down. 14 has now rounded to 10 because the 4 was not strong enough. But that's okay. All right, next example, I have the number 65. 6 is in the tens place. Found the number. Look right next door. 5 or more, raise the score. It's a 5. It's strong enough, so it bumps my 6 up to a 7. All the numbers after it change to zeros. So 65 rounded up to 70 because 5 was strong. For the number 71, 7 is in the tens place. Look right next door. 5 or more, raise the score. Nope. 4 or less, let it rest. It's just a little 1, not strong enough, so the 7 stays a 7. And then the numbers after it change to 0. So it rounded down to 70. More practice with rounding numbers, but this time we're rounding to the hundreds place. So instead of looking at the tens place, we'll be looking at the hundreds place. According to my poem, first thing I'll do is find the number. In 734, 7 is in the hundreds place. Remember, ones, tens, hundreds. Look right next door. It's a 3. 4 or less, let it rest. So 7 stays the same. All the numbers after the number you round change to zeros. So it is rounded down to 700. Next one, 421. 4 is in the hundreds place. Look right next door. Oh, it's a 2. I have to let it rest. It's less. It's 4 or less, so not strong enough. 4 stays the same. The numbers after change to zeros. 400. 289. 2 is in the hundreds place. Look right next door. 8 is a big, strong number. Remember, 5 or more, raise the score. 8 will bump up my 2 to a 3. All the numbers after change to zeros, so 289 rounded up to 300. Next one, 992. 9 is in the hundreds place. Look right next door. Ooh, a really strong number. We have a 9. That's for sure going to raise the score. Now 9 would have to bump up to a 10. And then I still had 2 places after it that need to change to zeros. So 992 was really strong and bumped up to 1,000. Sometimes you'll see that your 9s get bumped up to 10s. It's like a super upgrade. All right, 4th graders, now we get to round to the nearest thousands place. So first thing I'm going to do is find my number and then look right next door. I have 3,804. 3 is in the thousands place because I have ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. So I'll look right next door. 8 is a big, strong number. Remember, 5 or more, raise the score. 8 is more than 5, so it's big and strong. Bumps my 3 up to a 4. Afterwards, all my numbers change to zeros. There were 3 numbers after. Now they're zeros. So it's bumped up to 4,000. Next number, 5,482. 5 is in the thousand place. Look right next door. 4 or less, let it rest. So 5 has to stay the same today. Again, 3 numbers after the number I rounded change to zeros. 5,000 is the new number it rounded to. 1,275 has a 1 in the thousands place. Look right next door. 2, 4 or less, let it rest. 2 is not strong enough, so 1 will stay the same. All the numbers after change to zeros, so that rounded to 1,000. 8,655 has 8 in the thousand place. Look next door. 6, 5 or more, raise the score. So 6 will bump my 8 up to a 9. All the numbers after change to zeros, so that rounded up to 9,000. Okay, boys and girls, it is now your turn to try these new skills we've learned today. On your ticket, I'd like you to take a look at 3 different numbers, and I'd like you to round them to the places that they're asking you to. For the first one, you have the number 7,601. I'd like you to round that to the nearest thousand. For number 2, you have the number 540. I'd like you to round that to the nearest 100. For your last one, number 3, you have the number 36. I'd like you to round that to the nearest 10. Remember the poem to help you. Find the number, look right next door. 5 or more, raise the score. 4 or less, let it rest. Good luck.